right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not already subscribed, please make sure that you subscribe so you receive a notification each time I post a new video. So today I have Traci Jefferson, also known as Traci J, on with me today. And just to give you a little bit of backstory, so with my YouTube channel, if you're new or if you've been following for a while, I'm really into having conversations with other people. I believe that we all have, experienced different things on this journey and that we can all grow and learn from others. And so Traci is someone I'm so happy to have on today. So Traci's gonna definitely talk us through her journey. And so Traci, before we get started, just tell us a little bit about yourself, like your married life, your kids, all that stuff.
Oh, my life. I am a wife of my boo thing, Mr. Marcus Jefferson. Will be 11 years the first of next month. I am a mother of 5, grandmother of 2, and we are awaiting one more prince this month. So I'll have 3 grandbabies. I have I've been in this. I've been a hairstylist for over 20 plus years. I love, love, love my clients. They are the best. I have a fashion brand called Fly Chicks. We'll be talking about that today. And it's a very special meaning behind my brand. Well, I don't like to say brand. I like to say lifestyle because Fly Chicks is more than a brand. It's definitely a lifestyle that I have, tried to live by daily. I don't know. I'm just a lady who's always my goal is just to please everybody. Was pleasing everybody first, but I learned to love myself and put myself first. And I had to learn mentally that that's not taken away from loving or pleasing, making other people happy as long as I'm happy first. But yeah, I'm just a busy lady trying to make it.
Well, you seem to be definitely doing it. So Traci, I had the pleasure of reading your book that you wrote. It was so good. Guys, if you don't have this book, make sure that you get it. So the book is titled One Step at a Time, Walking in the Heels of a Trendsetter. So Traci, we've got to go back, right? Because you just told a little bit about yourself now, but let's go back to just your childhood and your dreams and that part of your life.
Okay. As a child, I had a great childhood. As a child, I had the love. I used to want to be a teacher when I was a child. I don't know why. I guess because I used to see the teachers dress pretty or whatever. But I had a love for fashion at a young age as well as hair. I used to collect Barbie dolls. I love Barbie dolls. I used to take pieces of my clothes and dress up my Barbie dolls. I used to cut the hair, like all I wanted was Barbie doll. So didn't know then because I was so young that I really was like wanted to be into fashion. I just knew I wanted to be a teacher because at the same time I used to dress up my Barbie dolls and then I would teach them. But when I got older, well, around teenage years, 14, I started working in a salon. So I really been a hairstylist, I would say, since the age of 14. I would learn stuff there, take it home, try it on my customers, my friends rather. And it just really started from there. Now my life started changing when I graduated. I graduated June 3rd, 1994. June 4th, I moved back to my hometown because at the age of 9, my mom met my bonus dad. I don't like to say stepdad. I lost my real dad when I was 4 months. So he's been the only father I've known. So we moved to Alabama from my hometown of Edenton, Georgia. And so I hated to leave. So when I graduated, I moved back, which was supposed to be just for the summer, but it ended up being like a permanent stay until I decided to come back. So in that time from age 17 and a half to 18, that's when my life started transitioning. I went down a downward spiral of losing who I was, thought I was in love, abusive relationship, just running around looking for love, just to say the least, during that time from age 18 to like 21, 22. And And I went through that with the next relationship, because I was so lost and
Right.
not even knowing that, I didn't learn until I was in my 30s that the person that I was running to try to find was really the person inside of me. And once I really, realized that, that's when my life really started to turn around. Because
So
I can go all day talking about that, but that's just the summary.
so Tracy, when you went back to Edenton,
Mhm.
you mentioned in the book that you had a scholarship
I did
to go
basketball
off
scholarship.
to college, and you
Yes,
decided to um, stay in Edenton. And so, in given that summary just a few seconds ago about how that really just changed like the trajectory for a period of
yes,
time in your life, because you had this scholarship, right, to go to college. You decided
yes,
to stay in Edenton, and then you ended up
yes,
in this bad relationship. You had your daughter.
yes.
Um, Talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced
Okay.
during that time.
Yes. Okay. So I moved there 17, 18. I stayed between my aunt and my sister. By the time I had my daughter when I was 19. So right after I had her, I actually found this trailer. It wasn't in the best of shape, but I thought I was grown at the time. So I wanted to be on my own. And that's when reality hit. Struggling, you know what I'm saying? I had little odds and ends jobs, but no matter where I worked, I found somebody whose hair I could do, and I started doing hair out of that trailer. And I was making good money, but still, blowing it on the clubs. Now, keep in mind, I was still a great mother, yet I'm still learning how to be a mother. But during that time of my life, that's when I lost myself. I was abused. Just running the street, just out of control. And that's not how I was raised. I didn't see that growing up from my mom, but that was a phase in my life. I guess I had to learn, sometimes people can't tell you how to live. You're gonna have to hit some brick walls, in order to learn and grow in the future. And I went through those times. I ended up having my son 2 years later, and it was even worse for me. Um, I almost died giving birth to my son April 14th, 1997. And by the grace of God, I am here. After that, I almost could have died in a car wreck. Like I went to sleep coming from the club because I was always in the street, clubbing, 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 like Thursday through Sunday. And I would work and then go out. And then I went to sleep coming from the club, and every time I wake up, I'm meeting a car head on. And then that last time, I just remember saying, Lord, let me make it over this bridge. And as soon as I went over the bridge, I went to sleep, ran off the road, ended up in a cow pasture, like a mile off the road. Long story short, that was the day. The next day, well, that morning when it became like 8 or 9, I decided to call my sister and I asked, can I come back? That's when I moved back to my hometown because my life was it was a mess. Um, and I moved back to my hometown. I went to college, cosmetology school, top in my class, never missed a day, never was late. Nobody did it first, second, third, fourth semester. I was the only student to accomplish that because my mindset was starting to change. And I think God has shut me a few times, like, girl, I let you live, you made it through April the 14th. You made it through that car wreck. You made it through abusive relationship. I even tried to kill myself in between that time back then. Um, try to cut my wrist. That didn't happen. I tried to drive off the road a few times, but not that incident. I just went to sleep. So it was just like I was so unhappy with who I was. And anyway, I ended up going back, went to college, I was doing great. Um, I stayed there for like 3 or 4 years and I'm back in my hometown. I moved back, but not on the same circumstances. I had grew more. Um, I had a nicer place. I was doing great with my clients. And then after a while, still clubbing. I was still clubbing when I moved back to Alabama, but I was enjoying life. And then I just got tired in the middle of me having a great time, like living life. So I thought I didn't want to do that anymore. It was time for me to go to another level. And so I moved back to Alabama, worked, bought my home I used to say At first, I never wanted to be married. And then I said, okay, I either want to buy me a home or be married before I'm 30. I ended up buying my home at 26, single parent, 2 kids, taking care of so many other people. And yeah, next question, because it get, it's another chapter. It's another chapter with that.
So Tracy, what I think is so good about the story that makes it so relatable for me is I remember when I felt like when I was broken, right? And like I didn't know just kind of who I was, like
Right.
where I was going, like the direction of my life. And I can just remember I always made sure I took care of my son. I was gonna go to work, right? Because like
Yeah.
that was important.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like if the club was open, I was
I
going.
was there.
And
I
I
know,
had
girl.
gotten to the point to like I was going to the club by myself because I'm like, somebody that I'm cool with is there.
We're gonna
Right?
be there. That's right.
By myself, like I'll find somebody or I'll bounce around, I'll holler at so and so for a few minutes, go over here, talk to this person, like I'll make it work. And I realized after like all those like hangovers and all that, that when I was waking up the next morning, like looking crazy, that like whatever I thought was gonna happen at the club or whatever that was supposed to be feeling at the moment was not it. Like it was,
Exactly.
I said, okay, Tracy, like you got to figure out like what you're doing, where are you going, where do you even want to be, like what
Right.
like what is the missing piece. And so for
Right.
me, I realized that I needed to do some work on the inside, right? Like I needed some healing. And then I realized that like I needed to get back to my relationship with God as well, because like that was a big thing that was missing, because I wasn't like, I just wasn't giving him anything, right?
Yes.
So Tracy,
Yeah,
talk
I know.
about you realizing like what your missing piece was and kind of getting yourself whole and working on your healing.
Like you said, like God was my missing piece. Because like I said, club, and that I didn't say anything about church during the time I was just running the street. It wasn't church. Now, before I moved to my hometown, I was always in church before I graduated. We stayed in church. My pastor stayed 3 houses up the street, and I practically lived at their house because they had daughters my age. And so it was church, church, church. And then when I moved to my hometown, it was so much freedom. It was like another world that I never experienced. I've never been around drugs. Even when I was clubbing, I tried to smoke weed. That wasn't for me. I found that out after like, trying it 2 times. That was not for me. Alcohol was not for me. I just had this natural high. And I guess me being around people, so I thought that would make me feel better. But like you said, when you wake up the next day and there's no music, there's no hype, no laughter, then what you got? Guess what I was doing? Waiting to do it all over again. So there was no church until I moved back the final time to my hometown. I went to school. I ended up getting baptized.
What year was that, Tracy, when you went back the final time?
Say again?
What year was that when you went back the
It
final
was like 2000 when I moved back, because I went to cosmetology school and graduated. No, it wasn't. 2000, I went to cosmetology school, graduated 2001. I think it was like 2004 or 5 when I went back the final time, because I ended up purchasing my home like 2007 or 8. Yeah, that's when I purchased my home. And I was into church, going every Sunday. My son, let me say a side note. This was another thing. My son, I tried to abort my son 3 times because I was so out of it. I was not ready for another child. Even though I was great, I was taking care of my daughter, point blank, period. She was well taken care of, but I was not ready. So I tried to abort him, and every time something came up, like God blocked it every time. But if you would have spoke to me back then in 1997, I wouldn't have said God blocked it. I just said something just kept happening. The car gave out of gas, the car stalled, or nobody would take me. So after that 3rd time I had my son, and I almost died. I'm on life support for 3 days, and I'm like, God was trying to tell me something, or was he trying? That's my payback for trying to take my son's life. And so, how this is so relevant to my life is, well, my sister was at the hospital. Had she not been there when I almost died, they couldn't have performed surgery on me to try to save my life. My sister was there at the right time. And that's a whole nother story. But my son got me into church. He started me going to church because he loved church. And he didn't get that from me because his, younger life, he didn't see me going to church. He would go to church with one of my older sisters. And he learned to sing. Well, he could sing and we didn't know it because he never sung around us, but that son asked me to come in. My son asked me to come and hear him sing at church. And so I did. And once we did that, that just really got me into church. And I'm like, okay, my mindset was different. So I'm like, okay, God, all kids are a blessing. And what if I had an abortion with my son? Would I still be, would I have went back to church? Like all that plays a part in my life story. But that was a big thing in my life. April the 14th, 1997. That was a wake up call too.
Yeah,
but I didn't take heed to it then. He did, but I didn't take heed to it. I was still in the streets. But as I look back over my life, now I see how and why certain things happen.
Yeah. Okay, so you're back in Alabama, bought your house, got your kids, everything is going good. Okay, so you're on this journey, right? You got your salon.
Yeah.
You're feeling like you're walking in purpose a little bit more.
Yes.
Okay, so then you find love.
Yeah.
So talk about finding love and how your husband's love and that relationship has also shaped and impacted who you are as a woman.
Yes. So I didn't find love because I wasn't looking for love that time. It found me. Because when I thought I was running around looking for love, it was not love. So I learned to be patient and not look. Within that year before I met my husband, I had just decided to be celibate. I was still going out, but I didn't want anything else other than me just having fun with my girls. And then one day we were sitting on the porch and I'm like, this ain't even it. Like, this ain't it no more. Like, I'm ready to settle down. And, I know God gonna send the right guy my way. So crazy. My husband and I started talking in the craziest way ever over a pair of shoes that my son saw my cousin wear, and he wanted a pair. So I was still going to my hometown doing hair as well as doing hair in Alabama during this time. And so my son got in touch with my cousin who gave us Marcus's number at the time for some shoes. So he texted me saying that he was my secret admirer. And so, I'm like, who is this playing on my phone? And finally he said, now this is the crazy thing. I told my son to text him from the number that I use strictly for my hometown, but he gave him my personal number. And so that's when I get the strange message. Okay, so, he told me who he was finally. So I told him about the shoes. And the next weekend we got the shoes. So one day I'm at home and it was MySpace back then. And he was on, you can see your friends online at the time on MySpace. And so he sent a message and I was like, boy, find you something to do. He said, well, give me something to do, like come and see you. He didn't come that night. I was not expecting him, but I just gave him my my address anyway, and he came the next night. Oh my God. And we stayed up all night, talked and laughed. And it was just something about him that just drew me to him. I love his dimples, don't get me wrong, but you just have to know. And it is like he had all the strikes against him, like he was too young, like he went up my age radar. I said, I was established at that time and I was looking for somebody on that level to be established. He wasn't. And he had 3 kids and I wanted somebody at least 2. So 3 strikes against him. But yeah, it was something about that man. And anyway, we started secretly dating. Only one other person knew about him and I. Well, two, my cousin and his best friend. And we kept it a secret. And we were so happy. But as soon as we came out, that's when all chaos, people wanted to tear us apart, and his mindset wasn't as strong. So we stayed fussing and breaking up. Girl, out of 365 days in a year, we was probably broken up 300. That was in the beginning when we was girlfriend and boyfriend, but we just kept coming back. And then he wasn't established because he was chasing his dream of football. And when it got serious and we got engaged, I was holding down the household while he was trying to pursue his dream of football. So I went from taking care of 2 kids and some of my nieces and nephews and, aunts and whoever needed Tracy to come to the rescue. I was taking care of everybody, plus 3 more kids. And we have kids back then, I think it was 13, 11, 9, 8, 7. That was the ages of all 5 kids. So that was a big thing on top of me still trying to help him get to where he was going with football and making sure his car was straight. My mom even chipped in to help send him off gracefully. When he had to travel because that was his dream. And he got hurt and like he would get cut and it wasn't it no more. So I remember one time he tore his Achilles and I had surgery on my foot. So I'm hopping through the airport to go see about him. And he started being in a casino and wasn't really owning up to what he was supposed to be doing. And it's so crazy. We just had a conversation about this the other night, last night actually. And I left. We was engaged, and when he took me to the airport, I left my engagement ring and I called it off. And so at the time, my brother was dating this girl, and I just love her forever. And she actually sent both of us a message because she hated that we wasn't together. We had been apart for like over a month. That was the longest breakup because usually we'll break up a day, 2, 3 days. That was it. And she just saw and just know that we needed to be back together. And she sent both of us a message. And I'm like, well, I ain't gonna write him, honey. Like, I'm not writing him first. But he ended up writing me a message and we started back talking. And he just said, if I give him one more chance to show me, he will make it up and I wouldn't regret it. And Tracy, he have kept his word, and it has been, we had got married then. So it's been over 11 years since that incident. And yes, we married, we get on each other's nerves sometimes. We have our disagreement, but we have never broken up in the 11 years we've been married. Since that day he came back, we have never broken up. And but during the process, he always said that if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be where he is today. But I be telling him, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be, where I am. My husband joined church, changed his life. He honored his word to take care of me and the kids and our grandkids now. And when I say God couldn't have blessed me with a better man, girl, I said with my chest out, God couldn't have blessed me with a better man. So, he didn't give me the man I thought I wanted. He gave me the man that he knew I needed. And I am so grateful, but I know I have the best husband in the world, a great provider, protector, just my friend. Like, we have so much fun together, a great grandfather, a great dad. Like, you couldn't ask for a better person, a hardworking man. Yeah, your girl blessed, honey, in that field. So, but we went through a lot to get to where we are. He promised me, since I held him down, that he will return the favor when he got in that position. And he sells cars. And I just said one day, man, I think you'll make a good car salesman. He was like, there are people not gonna let me work for them. I said, try to see. And I just kept pushing him to put in an application and call the people and go show your face at work. And next thing you know, he got the job. I helped him like during the time he had to study to take the test to sell cars. And he's been selling cars ever since.
I swear he posts a car sale like every day.
Every day.
At least like, he always posted that he sold a car.
Yeah.
So people are buying cars, and I know they buy
Yes.
from him. That's for sure.
Yes, he's great. He's the top salesman, and he's been that since he really hit the ground, like really selling cars. Once he put his mind on something, he really gives it his all. And like any investment or other businesses that we have, I'm like, I always bring it to him. I'm like, babe, I think you should do this, or I think we should do this, or I think I should do this, and he make it happen.
Yeah. And so what I like about that is, um, sometimes like in marriage, like it can be hard when both people are doing well. Sometimes it can kind of be like a struggle, right? But it's supposed to be truly teamwork, right? The end goal is
Yeah.
that we, would do
Right.
well together, like as
Right.
a couple, and that we'll push each other and that we'll believe, because sometimes other people can see stuff in you that you can't see in yourself. And it certainly sounds like that's one of the things that you guys have, that he's been able to see some stuff in you and you've seen some stuff in him that has caused you guys to be successful.
Yes, he supports I just think of stuff out the like, babe, what you think about this? And he always give me his input on it, and he support my dream to the max. I'm like, sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming, but girl, I can't explain it sometimes. That's my husband. It's my babe. But yeah.
So Traci, now, I mean, you kind of gone through, you found yourself, you got married. Like, talk about you now and like being able to walk in your passions and the things that you love, and the brand or the lifestyle that you mentioned earlier that you kind of created.
Oh, wow. So how Fly Chick was birthed, I was riding home, and I had got off like 11 o'clock one night. And I'm like, Lord, it's something else I'm supposed to do. This is a true story. It's something else I'm supposed to be doing. Like what? Like, what is it? I thought at one point it was the clothing boutique, and it was very successful. And I still have people asking me to please start back selling, open up your boutique and sell clothes. But that wasn't it. And I was just like, Lord, what is it? So before I had this conversation with God, I had birth Fly Chick, and I was like, no, I'm doing that. I was afraid. I didn't tell anybody about it, and I was like, I'm not messing with that. So like 2 years later is when I had this conversation, and I don't think. Well, now as I think back, then wasn't the right time. It wasn't time for me to do it. I was just gonna be doing something probably because I didn't know the purpose behind it. And so the next morning, I literally woke up and I said, Fly Chick, they're gonna know about Fly Chick. So I posted on my social media and just say, what's to come. And then like it just came from that. And Fly Chicks is it stands for finally loving you. Being that I was broke, I was broken, I was bitter, then love myself, low self-esteem, you name it. I went through it as a woman. So if I can tell people, if people can see me, because people always saying, girl, I wish I had this like you, a girl, I wish I was you. No, baby, you couldn't walk a mile in my shoes. That's why I wrote the book. One step at a time, and I would tell my story like over and over and over. And I used to say in a conversation, one day I'm gonna write a book, and it's gonna be Amazon bestseller. It's gonna be about my life. It became Amazon bestseller, and it was about my life. Because I had repeated the same stuff that you read in the book over to so many people. And that's when I birthed Fly Chick. And when I say I truly live by it, and like I tell people, loving yourself as a woman, because we put everybody before ourselves. We make sure everybody is straight, and sometimes we lack, or we could be hurting, and yet we still try to build other people up. And that's just a part of who I am. Sometimes I'm not in the best of mood, but if somebody comes to me for advice, I'm going to always give them the best advice I can, even if I'm not even feeling good about myself that day. And that's just part of being a woman. And I just said, God, if you give it to me, I'm going to make the best out of it. And that's what I just chose to do with Fly Chick. I just live, breathe, eat fly chicks, because that's my lifestyle. And so many women go through it and we suffer in silence with so much.
Oh, yeah.
And I also tell people, like a lot of times, the stuff I went through in my past, I'm now realizing that I didn't go through that for myself. I actually went through it for other women. So I can share my testimony with somebody to help them overcome what it is that I've already been through. And just to let them know that you're not alone, because we all go through something in life. And if you haven't, keep living, you definitely will. And that's really what motivated me to, start my fly chick lifestyle.
Yeah, and one of the great things too, you had several of them in the book, but you have your gems, your God inspired meditations. So in you sharing those, just kind of talk about how you kind of get those, and then you sharing those every day to inspire and encourage other people.
When I'm riding, I ride in silence a lot, and that's when everything comes to me. If I don't have the radio on, it's because I'm on the phone. If I'm not on the phone, I'm only talking to like 3 people if I'm on the phone: my mom or 2 of my best friends / one of them cousins. But most of the time I'm riding in silence, and that's when everything really comes to me. And I will find anything to jot it down, so I won't forget it. And when I wrote my book, um, I just found like a lot of paper that I had written stuff on, and I transferred into a folder, not knowing God was preparing me then to write my book, but I would just keep up with stuff I just started writing down. So that's, when I started my gems, and it just went from my book to what I post on social media. If I wake up in the morning and if I do my inspirational video, it's how I'm feeling at the moment. Or sometimes I pull over beside the road and record a video right quick if I feel it. But that's when it usually comes to me, when I'm in silence. Because when I'm at home, I got 2 grandkids that keep you on your head, not your toes. So I can't really think a lot. When they're here now, I got a puppy, with my husband home, so I don't really think too much at home. But when I'm driving to work or whatever, back home from work, that's when I really do my thinking. That's when I really be like, okay, God, we have our conversations and I'm riding down the road. And that's where everything really comes to me, when I'm really riding.
Yeah, I thought that they were really good ends to the chapter. So like after each chapter, like your gem would be something like directly related to that. And so I liked how that kind of gave, like you told your story, but then there was like a piece of encouragement, right? Or like something extra for you to take from whatever part of your story you had just shared. So I thought that was really great. So talk about like how your faith just kind of kept you through all the things that you've gone through, and now as you're creating this lifestyle for women.
Oh, I was just determined. Like I just knew that it was that wasn't for me. I just knew it was more, because I wasn't raised like that. Like the stuff I went through in life, I didn't see it growing up. And I just knew, like, when my mindset was strong and mature enough to know that, okay, you can talk to God. And I just knew that even when I was going through it, like, I know it's something better for me out here. Like, I just know. And I just remember this lady back in Edenton, her name was Nap, may she rest in peace. But I just remember her. A lot of people used to tell me this, but she told me, like, almost every chance she get, like, Traci, you deserve so much more. You too pretty of a girl to be going through what you're going through. And that really stuck with me until this day. But she will always tell me that. And so when I got myself together, got my wedding day, during the time I had got married or whatever, and she saw me like doing way better, she was like, see, I told you. I just remember that, like, people just really telling me, like, girl, you could be so far in life, you need to go back to Alabama because nothing in these streets for you down here. But you can tell somebody something so many times and they're not gonna get it until they're really ready to get it.
Oh, yeah.
But I just knew I was supposed to be in a better place. I just knew I deserved more. And I knew I was gonna get it. I knew I was gonna be successful. But at the time, I just didn't know I had to really get my faith in God, even though I grew up seeing this. But then when I was an adult, I didn't experience it until later on. you know, my faith in God, and I just, he first in everything. That's all I can really tell you now. I acknowledge God like 24/7. I probably get on his nerve, honey. I talk to him and call him. He's probably like, girl, what you want now? But yeah, but that's it. I knew, and I believe in myself. And I know what I went through. God took me through what I went through for a reason, and this is my reason. And like I said, I promised him if he gave me the vision, I will like pursue it to the best of my ability, and I believe in it. And to the day I die, we'll talk about fly chicks.
That's what's up. So Tracy, what advice would you give to women? And one thing I'll share before you share what you're thinking, because like this is something that like I try to apply in my own life, but I also feel like it was true after me like reading your book, is not allowing your past to define who you are. So like that's the thing that like I always try to keep like in my mind, like my past does not define me. It is certainly helped me become who I am. Those experiences, that doesn't define who I am. And that's one thing that I certainly got after just learning more about your story through your book. But what advice do you do you give to women, or would you give to women?
What you basically said is one thing, like, don't let your past determine your future. It does not. Like, your past does not dictate what you will be in the future. But if you stay back in your past, you're going to be just that in your past. And you have to learn to forgive yourself. As women, you have to learn to look in the mirror and face, like, you have to face you, first of all. You have to accept your flaws. Nobody's perfect. I always say, if you don't like anything about yourself, change it. And if you can't change it, learn to accept it. But don't beat yourself up over the things you've done in the past, because if you look back, if you look in your past, with me, when I look back in my past, I'm grateful. No matter how bad or how hard things was on me back then, I'm grateful because it really made me who I am today. And I'm glad I was a fool, a young fool, and I'm not an old fool. But as women, like, you need to just really learn to love who you are and stop looking at other women trying to mimic who they are, and love who you are. And if you really get to know yourself, you'll realize you're really a dope person. Like, seriously. But we just always, we carry a lot. And you know, I always say this, Tracy, men are strong physically. But women, we really hold the strength that we really knew how strong we were. As women, it's a lot of stuff that I think we wouldn't take for granted, or we wouldn't let slide, or we would feel like we would have more control over if we really knew our strength as a woman. But you have to love who you are and talk to yourself in the mirror. You might think it's crazy, but it worked, because talking back to myself really helped me through so much in life. Like, seriously. When I look in the mirror, I'm either telling myself, girl, come on, you got to get it together. Or I'm saying, okay, girl, I see you. But you have to talk to that lady. If you can't talk to yourself, how you going to talk to somebody else? And if you don't love who you are, how you know, if you telling somebody else you love them, how you know that's real love? If you're not feeling it for yourself. So when I say finally loving you, that means finally loving who you are. And that does not take away from you loving anybody else. That just makes sure your foundation is stronger, so you can pour love into other people.
Yeah, I like that. That was good. So Tracy, where can people find you? Like, what's your social media, your website, all of that?
My website is I am Traci, TRACIJ.com. My Instagram is flychicks_official. My Facebook is Traci Jefferson, and I have a Fly Chick Facebook group. I've turned over all my Fly Chick stuff to my assistant Reed. That way, if he can push that out for me, I can focus on doing other things, because I'm a landlord, I'm a hairstylist. I have my fashion lifestyle Fly Chick. I'm an author. I was doing these events for women, and I really hate that COVID hit, because every year I would always do a Fly Chick event where I have my group of ladies and we share our testimony, and I salute and honor my breast cancer women. I would go to the battered women's shelter. I would do makeovers for them. I would have my fashion shows, do the back to school supplies for the kids. Like a lot of stuff I'm not doing now because of COVID, but I was very, 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 very busy. So I just want to prepare myself, and hopefully next year I can start back doing all this stuff again. But that's it. If y'all see a pink heart, think about Fly Chick.
Traci, thank you so much for
Thank you for
coming
having me.
on and sharing your story. I certainly appreciate it. And I was even more inspired from reading your book and now being able to have this conversation, because I've known you for a while, but I feel like this is probably the most transparent conversation that you and I have had. So thank you so much. And everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that something today has been shared that you can take and apply it in your own lives for sure. So if you have not subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. And then one more last plug of Traci's book that you can also purchase on her website of IamTraciJ.com. It will just give you more insight or more details of what we talked about today, but really a good read. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. Again, Traci, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys be blessed.